Hello friends, good morning all of you. Welcome to Ssc Revision Digital Classes, subject Biological Science. Like the video, share the video and subscribe my channel Zoology Online Guru. Biological Science, State Syllabus, Chapter 2, Respiration. Chapter 2, Respiration, the energy producing system. Nutrition is the process in which the food materials are prepared. We all know that the food materials are containing energy, but simply taking the nutrients cannot get energy, because the nutrients enters into our body or animal body. In the stomach they are digested, and from intestine they absorb into the blood and transported to the every cell of the individual. Within the cell, the nutrients, the digested food cannot give energy. That's why we require another metabolic process to release the energy from that digested food. The metabolic process to release the energy present in the digested food is called respiration. Respiration is an English word, came from the Latin source respire. Respire means to breathe. So respiration is the energy releasing process. The energy is stored in the digested food or the energy substrates. So respiration releases the bounded energy present in the digested food or energy substrates. To release energy from any object, there must be a burning process. So burning is a process where the energy is released from the objects and along with a smoke and also heat and ash. Like that same process in our body or living organisms, respiration is one type of burning process in which the energy is released from the energy substrates like digested food, example glucose, amino acids, fatty acids or glycerol. So what is happening in the respiration means the burning of the digested food takes place in the cells. Coming to the mind map of respiration, respiration is a catabolic process. It is a catabolic process. Respiration is a destructive process. Destructive. Respiration releases energy. Respiration in most cases requires oxygen. Requires oxygen. Respiration is a exothermic process. Respiration takes place in all living organisms. It is a catabolic process, destructive process, releases energy, requires oxygen. It is an exothermic process, releases carbon dioxide as a end product, and it will take place in every living organism. Respiration is a catabolic process. It is a destructive process. It releases energy. It requires oxygen. It is a exothermic reaction or process. It releases carbon dioxide. It takes place in every living organism. Complex molecules are converted into simplest or simpler one. Coming to the catabolic process, metabolism. The sum total of reactions takes place in a living organism are called metabolism. Metabolism is of two types. It is of two types. Anabolism and second one is the catabolism. Anabolism is the constructive process where the simple inorganic molecules collectively forms a organic complex molecule. The best example is photosynthesis. Catabolism is the process where the complex organic molecules are breaks into their simpler or simplest forms. That's why catabolism it is a destructive process. Breaks complex molecules into their simple molecules. It releases bound solar energy. So the solar energy is bounded in every object on the earth. To release that bounded solar energy, respiration is the only process in which the bounded energy is released from the objects. It's called releasing of energy. In our body, the energy we are calling as the chemical formula for energy in all living organisms, from bacteria to the human beings. Only energy source in the living organisms is ATP. Most important for 1 mark question. Expand ATP. Adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate is the only energy source in all living organisms, from bacteria, viruses up to the mammals or human beings. This is the sole source of energy. That's why ATP is called energy currency. It is called energy currency. This is also an important bit for half mark in the objective type questions. They ask ATP is. Otherwise, the energy currency in our body is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Basing on the requiring of the oxygen, respiration is of two types. If it requires oxygen or in the absence of oxygen. If it requires oxygen, it is called aerobic respiration. If it takes place in the absence of oxygen, it is called anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration. The best example for anaerobic respiration is the Clostridium bacteria. Otherwise, one process in the anaerobic respiration is the fermentation. So best example for fermenters are yeast cells. The unicellular fungus is called yeasts. They participate in the fermentation, whereas the bacteria Clostridium tetani undergo anaerobic respiration. So here examples: yeast and Clostridium. Except those, all living organisms like plants and animals, autotrophs and heterotrophs, they undergo aerobic respiration. Respiration is an exothermic process, means it releases heat to outside. Respiration. Joseph Priestley and Lavoisier. Joseph Priestley discovered oxygen in the year of 1774. Lavoisier coined the term oxygen in 1775. Before to the discovery of Lavoisier, Priestley called oxygen as respirable air. For that respirable air, Lavoisier coined the term oxygen in the year of 1775. In his experiments, Lavoisier discovered fixed air as CO2, carbon dioxide, and chalky acid gas. That also the concept map. In the concept map, digestion here produces digested food. Digested food is in the form of maybe glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, and glycerol. This is the digested food in the animal body. All these materials transported to cells. That means the ultimate target of digested food is cells. Our motto, our concept in the respiration is releasing of energy. Releasing of energy. Releasing of energy. How this digested food in the cells releases energy is our concept. For that, respiration is needed, important. In the respiration, oxygen enters into lungs and transported to the cells. So the ultimate target for digested food and the ultimate target of oxygen is the cells. Every Every living organism is made up of cells. Every cell receives the digested food and also the oxygen. So within the cells, this digested food, especially we are taking as a glucose plus oxygen. Glucose plus oxygen, they release the energy. So the concept map clearly states that in the digestive system, digested food, the glucose, amino acid, fatty acid, glycerols transported to cells at the same time. In the respiration, in the breathing system, we are intaking the oxygen in inspiration, and from the lungs that oxygen is transported to the cells. In the cells, the glucose and oxygen get oxidized and they release the energy. So respiration is the process of releasing energy from the energy sources. The first step in the events are steps in respiration. Breathing, gaseous exchange at lungs level, exchange of gases between alveoli and blood, gaseous exchange at tissue level. Breathing. Breathing is the first level. Second one, gaseous exchange at lungs level. Transport in the blood. Fourth one, gaseous exchange at tissue level. And lastly, fifth one, cellular respiration. Respiration is breathing. Breathing means inspiration and expiration, inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation means taking of oxygen or air into the lungs is called inspiration, and giving out of the air from the lungs to the outside is called exhalation. Exhalation always releases carbon dioxide. To prove this, there is an experiment that is called respiratory gases, in which blowing of exhaled air into two chambers by tubes into a water and a lime water. After exhalation, water cannot show any reaction, whereas the lime water converted into milky white color. Basing on this experiment, we can prove that exhaled air contains carbon dioxide, as the lime water converted into milky white. Breathing. Respiratory gases. Lime water converted into milky white. Test tube A filled with water, test tube B filled with lime water. Blowing of exhaled air in these two test tubes, lime water turns into milky white color. Question number 1. What does this experiment indicate? Exhaled air contains carbon dioxide. Which gas turns lime water milky? Carbon dioxide. So here the answer for second question is carbon dioxide. There is a one mark question. Which gas is responsible for conversion of lime water into milky white? The answer is carbon dioxide. Which gas is highest amount in the exhaled air in comparing to the inhaled air? That is also carbon dioxide. Another important bit, which gas is less in quantity when compared to the inhaled air in the exhaled air? That is oxygen. When we are breathing inside, oxygen is more in the quantity, while in exhaled air the quantity becomes reduced. And the carbon dioxide in the inhaled air, it is very much less. In the exhaled air, it is increased in its quantity. The pathway of air in breathing starting with the nose or nostrils. The air enters into nostrils. From the nostrils, it enters into nasal chamber or nasal cavity. Then enters into pharynx, then to larynx, then to trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, to the blood. From the blood, the air enters into the alveoli and to the outside. So there are two ways are there. So incoming and outgoing. The passage of air, nostrils, then to nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, alveolus and blood. And from the blood to the alveolus, bronchioles, bronchus, trachea, larynx, pharynx, nasal cavity and nostrils. This diagram showing pathway of air, respiratory system of man. It starts with nostrils, next nasal cavity, pharynx, epiglottis, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles. These are alveoli, small bags, and every alveoli is overlapped. Next topic is epiglottis in the passage of air. Buccal cavity, nasal chamber. Outside. From the outside, the air enters into the nasal chamber. Suppose this is the oxygen. So oxygen enters into the nasal chamber. This is called uvula. So this is trachea. These are bronchus, bronchi is called pharynx. The opening of trachea is called glottis. This is the food material from the mouth is swallowed into the esophagus. This is esophagus. Oxygen from the outside enters into the nasal chamber and then enters into the trachea. So there is a crossing of food material and gases takes place at the level of pharynx. To avoid passage of food material and water into the trachea through glottis, there is a gut protective flap is there. So look here, suppose this is the glottis, this is trachea, this is glottis, there is a flap, it's called epiglottis. So the opening of the trachea is called glottis. On the glottis there is a flap-like structure which is present on the covering of the glottis to prohibit or inhibit or avoid the passage of food or water into the trachea. This flap-like structure is called epiglottis. This diagram showing the epiglottis and passage of air. Here in the breathing, while taking the intaking of the gas, so from nose, the air entering here and here to coming to here and then enters into the trachea. Next, mechanism of respiration. In the mechanism, there are two events are there. One is inspiration, second one is expiration. Intaking of oxygen is called inspiration. In the inspiration, the diaphragm suppose these are the lungs. The diaphragm pulls down in the first step. Then there is a low pressure. So by the concept of diffusion, the air travels from the high pressure to the low pressure. That's why from the outside the air enters into the lungs. It is called inspiration. These are the ribs. Ribs protects the lungs and the muscles attached to the ribs are called intercostal muscles. Muscles are attached to the diaphragm. This is the diaphragm. And the muscles related to the diaphragm muscles are called phrenic muscles. The phrenic muscles. The intercostal muscles are contracted. The diaphragm is pulled down. So intercostal muscles contraction creates a gap, the empty space, and the pulling of the diaphragm muscles also creates a empty space. These two empty spaces created a low pressure. The oxygen from the outside is called high pressure and enters into the lungs, that is the low pressure area. So automatically when there is a low pressure, air enters into the lungs, that is called inspiration. Releasing of gases is called expiration. Lungs, the diaphragm. Diaphragm comes to the normal position and the intercostal muscles also comes to the normal position. Then there is a pressing of the chest cavity. So the intercostal muscles, when they are relaxed, then they press the chest cavity, and the diaphragm muscles also relaxed and pressing the lungs from the downside. CO2 or gas is present in the lungs, it comes outside. So there is a high pressure is created in the lungs. From the high pressure to the low pressure, the gases are comes outside, that is called expiration. This is the